Good morning everyone, and today we're going to start something really exciting and a massive project that's going to take a long time because it's just the two of us. Today we're going to start our fencing. Now this might look quite underwhelming to a lot of people, but to us this is a big investment and it's also really exciting. So let me start by saying a massive thank you to our patrons, because in the time that they've supported us, we've just left the money sitting there and growing every month until we had sufficient to put towards what we need here. So this was always our intention. Our really positive patrons have sort of put towards this basically. So what we've got is loads of rebar, which is going to be the uprights of our fence, and loads of metal wire that's going to be the fence of the fence. So that's where we're going to start. So we've never done this before. We've got a good idea of how to do it, and we're going to try and make it as simple as possible.
But either way it's going to be a laugh.
Either way it's going to be a laugh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
So what we've got is 1.5 metre lengths of
Rebar.
this metal bar, and our fencing is 1 metre tall, so literally we're going to have to knock this in to the ground for 1/3 of its length. Hopefully that will give it enough rigidity and stability that we can then attach the metal fencing to it, and that its basic job is to keep Max in and to keep the wild boar out, so that we can then crack on with our garden.
So here we are. Elaine's at the bottom of the land, trying to clear some of the brush away where we're going to be putting the fencing through. So the fencing that we're using is like a cheap option. We couldn't really afford the wooden posts. Wooden posts are very expensive at the moment, pretty much everywhere. I was going to say here in Portugal, but I imagine everywhere. So we're using rebar. And we got a local builders merchant to cut the rebar into 1.5 metre lengths, as Elaine said, and we're using that as our posts, and we're using just normal fencing which we bought from local agroloja shop, and we've got 250 metres of fencing. So the idea is to go up the land by 100 metres, across by 50, and back down by 100. So we've started the job just over there at the bottom of the land. Now we've got to tension it off a little bit and start to put more of the rebar into the ground. So we'll show you that. So this is where we're going to start the fencing. This is right at the very bottom, next to our neighbour's fence post and our neighbour's land. This also here is our neighbour's land. A little bit of it is ours, but we're going to make it easier for ourselves and just fence off that way. So we're putting in the rebar posts. So yeah, they've got in about 1/3 of the way, as Elaine explained earlier, and we're going to now tighten this up as much as I can with some of this, just to make this a very sturdy, although it is already quite sturdy, beginning to our fence. And then what we're going to try and do is get this as taut as we can, potentially, using one of these, which is a ratchet and a ratchet strap. That's the word. And what we'll try and do is tie this around a tree to try and get it a little bit tighter. So the idea here, I suppose, is to attach this, or this end rather, to our rebar and pull on our ratchet up to a tree up there. And we'll just work our way along. And how difficult can it be?
We've only been going for 4 hours.
we haven't. This has only taken us about an hour. But we'll get there.
We will.
Okay. These bloody flies are coming out now, aren't they?
Yes, it's because it's so humid, isn't it?
Because of what?
The humidity.
Yeah. So, that was a 5-minute job that took about an hour, as is so often the case. So, the problem was we weren't able to get any tension in this. We weren't able to, by hand, pull this tight enough to make it a nice tight fence, which is really kind of the plan. I mean, a little bit loose is okay. So, what we've managed to do is we've used both of our brains, put them together, and tried to use this ratchet strap, which was the whole plan. It's just we've never used a ratchet strap before, so that was a whole hours trying to work it out. So I'll show you up here. So as you can probably see now, it's a little bit tighter. Well, you didn't see it before, but that's quite a lot tighter and more taut than it was before, because at the end here we've got a ratchet strap strapped in. So we've put a rebar in here, we've pulled the fence tight here, and we've attached it to a tree with this ratchet strap here. Okay, so now the plan, that is quite tight. Now the plan is to get some rebar into here, and we'll have a first part of our fence. There we go. So we've got our first rebar in. I've done it with 10 spaces between each one, which is just over a metre. It's probably a metre and a third. So what I'm doing now is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going into the 11th one like this. You see that? I'm going into the 11th, but then bringing it back into the 10th like that, and then weaving backwards and forwards. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a little bit fiddly. Back in like that, and then when we get to the bottom, coming back again into the 11th hole. So we have this twist from the 10th hole. I've gone into the 11th and twisted it round.
To keep the tension top and bottom.
To keep the tension.
Yeah.
Exactly. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Can you see it on the camera as making sense?
Yep.
And then that is quite taut still.
Yes.
Because we have got it attached to the strap at the end.
Yep.
And that is it.
Go
But
for
we're
it.
trying to put a little bit of extra tension in.
By me pulling.
By Elaine pulling there, because ideally we would have liked this to be tensioned, but we haven't got a long enough strap, so I'm just kind of doing it like that. And then we hit rock, but that's okay because that's nice and solid. Oh, there we go. Anyway,
That's it. Good.
that's that. Well, that's not a bad morning's work, I suppose. Did take us about, what, 3 hours?
Yes.
But we've got the structure in place at least now. So now we've got to move the straps up, and we've got to find a tree somewhere at the top here to attach these straps to, and then unroll this all the way up the hill and attach it to the top somewhere. but structurally not so bad, and looking not so bad. Well, so what's today been like?
Knackering.
It's been hard, hasn't it? I was going to say, even though we have like all the kit, all the professional kits and everything, that was probably the hardest part. I found the ratcheting the hardest part.
Yeah.
So I think we've probably done about 70 or 80 metres.
I'd say yeah, 70. Yep.
About 70 of the 100-metre
Roll, the first roll.
the first roll.
Uh-huh.
Good, so that's for today, that's finished.
Yep.
Time to go and see Max and
Lovely shower.
and a chill for the evening.
And pizza for tea.
Nice.
Nice. Right, I'm done.
Me too.
And
We are now at the bottom of the land and we're looking up. And yesterday we put this fencing in just along here. If you can see it on the camera, just at the bottom of the shot. And we put that about halfway up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go over back down the bottom again, down here, and we're going to start putting the fence from the bottom all the way back up again to the top. And somewhere in the middle there should be where our gate is going to be. So we're kind of hoping that they're gonna join. So we're ready now. What we've got is we've got the fence down here next to Elaine just there.
yep, that's half the battle.
That was half the battle. It's 100 metres.
It's quite heavy.
Yeah. So we've got that ready, and we're going to attach that to the tree to stretch it out. Yeah, with the where are they gone? Oh, they're up there behind you. With those ratchets, with that ratchet, yeah. And then tighten it up down the bottom here onto this fence post or near this fence post. Bring it along and then up the straight edge as best we can. So I've just brought the fencing up to this fence post, but we don't own that fence post, so I've just used that as a guide in order to hold the fencing, and I've made my own fence post just to the left of that, just there. So I'm going to put a couple of those in to sturdy it up, and then we're ready to start stretching the fencing out. Hopefully that'll work. So here we have the two rebars in place, holding the fence in place. I've attached both of the rebars together in order to try and make it strong enough once we start pulling on the tensioner on the ratchet. And yeah, let's see. It works. This will be the first time it's worked first time.
Yeah.
So that's working really well so far. We've got a nice taut fence down the bottom here. I think with all the practice we did yesterday, which we didn't film, we've actually maybe learnt a few skills, and it seems to be coming together okay. So yeah, we've got quite a taut fence going up behind me here, and we can now start putting some rebar in to get that even better. Yeah, not too bad at all. So we've got the next piece in now, well ready to go. We've got it ratcheted at the top to a madronya tree. We've got quite a nice tight run. So we're going to go with it and put in our rebars. Brilliant. Got one left. Do that before lunch. Okay. So here's our lake filling with water and all of our seeds sprouting around the outside to hold it all together. Looking really good. So the water is being held in the lake at the moment. It has dropped a few inches, maybe 6 to 8 inches, but again, that's a natural thing. It's got to find its level. It's got to fill all the holes in the bottom with the silt and the sand or whatever's there. So it's going to be, yeah, as I think I mentioned in a previous video, it's going to be a 2-year plan just to see if it does hold water permanently. But nevertheless, still looking very good, and it looks as though it fits in the landscape quite nicely, which I'm really pleased about. Morning everyone. So it's Saturday morning now. After quite a busy week of getting our fencing put around the land, we decided to just fence the bottom third down the end down the bottom end, should I say, where the lake area is. That's taken us 3 days to do that, using the ratchet, etc., which is all new skills for us. So anyway, now the whole bottom third of the land is now secure. Max is securely in. And we've got a fence, a temporary fence here, so that we can actually get back out again. And now we're working on slightly smaller jobs. I'll just show you down here as well, because we did also we had quite a bit of fencing left over. So we have also fenced, extra fencing just here around our well. It was already fenced, but it was only fenced with like 3 or 4 single strands. So we've now fenced that a little bit more securely, just from a safety perspective. These posts were already here, so it's just a case of connecting them to the post, which was pretty straightforward and easy. So this week we did go to a local agricultural shop, and they had loads of vegetables that we could buy. They were very cheap, something like 10 for €1, I think they were. Something along those lines. So we've picked up quite a few. That's put a little bit of pressure on now, because we have to make some beds to get them into. So this morning we're making some beds down the bottom of the land just here, in order that we can get those veg put in and hopefully get them growing. So I think what we'll do is we'll leave that for another day and another video, and show you the progression of our gardening beds. So thanks very much for joining us on this one, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care everyone. Bye bye. Say bye.